Here's the article that I mentioned earlier from the New York Times. More of these science and transhumanist type articles concerning computers coming out. Computers that see you and keep watch over you. Hundreds of correctional officers from prisons across America descended last spring on a shuttered penitentiary in West Virginia for annual training exercises. Some officers played the role of prisoners, acting like gang members and stirring up trouble, including a mock riot. The latest in prison gear got a workout: body armor, shields, riot helmets, smoke bombs, gas masks, and at this year's drill, computers that could see the action. Now, I don't know about you, but this really makes me feel that, okay, you know, they've done these kinds of drills for years. But what would be the advantage of doing it now where it could be computer controlled? Well, again, as we've talked about with these massive supercomputer AI systems like the Caesar system, which now they have the Caesar 3, totally AI, totally intelligent. It very well could be that that's what they're doing, is to see what computer algorithms they can come up with in the event of these type of things happening, riots and other things. Perched above the prison yard, 5 cameras track the play-acting prisoners, and artificial intelligence software analyze the images to recognize faces, gestures, and patterns of group behavior. When 2 groups of inmates moved toward each other, the experimental computer system sent an alert, a text message, to a corrections officer that warned of a potential incident and gave the location. The computers cannot do anything more than officers who constantly watch surveillance monitors under ideal conditions, but in practice, officers are often distracted. When shifts change, an observation that is worth passing along may be forgotten, but machines do not blink or forget. They are tireless assistants. The enthusiasm for such systems extends well beyond the nation's prisons. High-resolution, low-cost cameras are proliferating and found in products like smartphones and laptop computers. The cost of storing images is dropping, and a new software algorithms for mixing, matching, and scrutinizing the flood of visual data are progressing swiftly. A computer vision can watch a hospital room and remind doctors and nurses to wash their hands, or warn of restless patients who are in danger of falling out of bed. It can, through a computer-equipped mirror, read a man's face to detect his heart rate and other vital signs, and it can analyze a woman's expressions as she watches a movie trailer or shops online, and helps marketers tailor their offerings accordingly. Computer vision can also be used at shopping malls, schoolyards, subway platforms, office complexes, and stadiums, all of which could be helpful or alarming. Machines will definitely be able to observe us and understand us better, said Hartmut Nevin, a computer scientist and vision expert at Google. Where that leads is uncertain. Google has been both at the forefront of the technology development and a source of the anxiety surrounding it. Well, they should be. Google is fucking Skynet. Google is Echelon. Google is the NSA now. That's official. All the Echelon systems got turned over to Google once Google started becoming the main data gathering complex for the entire planet and for these artificially intelligent supercomputers that are now essentially running the entire game. Its Street View service, which lets internet users zoom in front of or above on a particular location, faced privacy complaints. Google will blur out people's homes at their request. Google has also introduced an application called Goggles, which allows people to take a picture with a smartphone and search the internet for matching images. The company's executives decided to exclude a facial recognition feature, which they feared might be used to find personal information on people who did not know that they were being photographed. Oh, geez, you think? Maybe just for a second? Oh, my goodness, I don't know. Despite such qualms, computer vision is moving into the mainstream. With this technological evolution, scientists predict people will be increasingly surrounded by machines that can not only see, but also reason about what they are seeing in their own limited way. The uses, noted Francis Scott, an expert in surveillance technologies at the National Institute of Justice, the Justice Department's research agency, could allow the authorities to spot a terrorist, identify a lost child, or locate an Alzheimer's patient who has wandered off. Yeah. Oh, we just want to use this so we can find us some old people wandering around. That's all. That's all we want it for. It's for old people and children. Yep. That's what it's for. An Al-Qaeda. Yep. Old people and children and Al-Qaeda. That's what we want all this technology for. Yep. It sure is. We'll keep on moving along there. I mean, it's ridiculous. Let's see here. The future of law enforcement, national security, and military operations will most likely rely on observant machines. A few months ago, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, the Pentagon's research arm, awarded the first round of grants in a 5-year research program called the Mind's Eye. And we talked about earlier this rumor going around that DARPA, of all people, I mean, it's just so strange that DARPA is now given the Obama administration the green light to start disclosing extraterrestrials. We'll see. Its goal is to develop machines that can recognize, analyze, and communicate what they see, mounted on small robots or drones. These smart machines could replace human scouts. These things, in a sense, could be team members, said James Donlan, the program's manager. Millions of people now use products that show the progress that has been made in computer vision in the last 2 years. The major online photo sharing services, Picasa and Google, Windows Live Photo Gallery by Microsoft, Flickr by Yahoo, and iPhoto by Apple have all started using face recognition. Yeah, I bought a new laptop last year. I guess it was last Christmas. And I bought a new laptop, and the laptop that I got had, it has a little camera built in and everything to it. And it actually came with facial recognition software where you can actually log yourself into the computer. You can actually make it where the only way you can log into the computer is by this facial recognition scan from the camera on the computer. But, I've never used it and never will. But, the real question is where does that go? Where does that technology go? You're on a broadband internet connection connecting to a computer, which, just like a couple of years ago, the stuff they started putting in the Dell computers. If you open up any Dell laptop or any Dell prefabbed PC, and you know what you're looking for on the motherboard, you will find a little chip on your motherboard that does not really have a purpose that you can determine. And there have been people that have actually called tech support to Dell and said, hey, what's this little extra chip here on my motherboard? What does this do? And they tell you, well, I can't tell you what that is and what it does on the grounds of national security. And what these little chips are keystroke loggers. They're built-in keystroke loggers, which actually log every stroke made on your keyboard and then send it to, a third party like the NSA or Google or whatever it may be. But that's how they've outsourced the ability to get all of our information on the internet. They set up Google as this big front company, which everybody believes is just, some company that was started and became a publicly traded company and, blah, 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 and there's nothing else to it. When in reality, this is how they've been able to gain all this information without doing it under the guise of a government entity. So it's highly interesting that they would talk about these, facial recognition stuff. Because, again, how do I know if I'm going to log into my laptop? How do I know where that facial scan is going? You would be a fool not to think that face scan would not go directly through your high-speed internet connection into some tracking grid somewhere through the NSA, Google, Echelon, or anywhere else. But again, this is part of the larger agenda, isn't it? They get us thinking this technology is cool and high tech. Wow. Isn't it awesome to have a face scanned on your laptop so you can be like you're out of some futuristic Arnold Schwarzenegger movie or some Philip K. Dick novel or something of that nature. Wow, look at this, man. You have to scan your face, facial recognition scan to get into my laptop. Isn't that awesome? Man, it's new technology. Yeah, they get us to think it's cool so then they can enslave us with it. It's already happened. Connect, an add-on to Microsoft's Xbox 360 gaming console, is a striking advance for computer vision in the marketplace. It uses a digital camera and sensors to recognize people and gestures. It also understands voice commands. Players control the computer with waves of the hand and then move to make their on-screen animated stand-ins known as avatars run, jump, swing, and dance. Since Kinect was introduced in November, game reviewers have applauded and sales are surging. To Microsoft, Kinect is not just a game, but a step forward for the future of computing. It's a world where technology more fundamentally understands you so you don't have to understand it. Well, that's a hell of a statement, said Alex Kipman, an engineer on the team that designed Kinect. So what we want feasibly, that's unbelievable. We want technology to understand us so we don't have to understand it. I'm blown away by that statement. But does anybody else but me think that that's a huge admission and a huge statement for what the mindset is going into this new technology? Okay, so you need to know less and less and less about the technology that you're dealing with. So in turn, the technology you're dealing with can know more and more and more about you. It seems like a very dangerous and a very slippery slope towards total control, to where, we're already giving all of ourselves over and all of our consciousness over to society and culture and to government and everything else. We're already acquiescing to giving up our minds and not having to think for ourselves. And, why would you have to think for yourself when you have a TV and you have culture and you have Edward Bernays and, the Madison Avenue programming and all that? We will determine for you what is hip and cool and what you should wear and be into and the fads and trends, and then you will follow those. They've been doing that for 100 years. But, now this is like what I would term a technological Bernays. I mean, this is like Edward Bernays 2.0 here. Where, again, as this guy who developed this Kinect gaming thing for the Xbox 360, it's a world where technology more fundamentally understands you, so you don't have to understand it. Yeah, you don't need to understand this technology or what it is or what it's doing, or you don't need to understand this neural interface that you hook to your brain, which enables you to control your avatar on this on-screen game. You don't need to understand what that does, and you don't really need to know what it's doing, because it's understanding you. And see, it's on your head, and it knows your neural pathways. It knows how your brain works and the levels it's operating on. So with that, you don't need to know more about the computing system. Well, I say hogwash to that. If we're gonna give ourselves in any way, small or large, to technology, it is in our ultimate best interest to know everything we can about understanding this technology before we choose to use it and enact it into our everyday lives. Otherwise, who knows what kind of Trojan horse we're opening up? I mean, just to say that the technology needs to understand you more so you can understand it less is a completely ridiculous ideology. And obviously, it's something that is being touted by people because this new Kinect add-on was the big holiday gift this year. This is unfucking believable. And everybody else is just walking around out there right now ignoring this, going home, I'm going to go to my non-FOP job and I'm going to come home and play with my Kinect. Mm-hmm. And these guys are sitting here making jokes in your face about how, just the technology needs to understand you more so you can understand it less. We got this. Trust us. Just let the technology take over, and then you don't have to worry about whether or not you understand it or not. You don't have to be one of those stupid nerds and geeks that actually wants to understand this technology. That's more game time for you, more time to play World of Warcraft, more time to play whatever the new next World of Warcraft AI headgear control game system, plug into the neural net, into your brain to go online and, fuck around with orcs and wizards and all that horse shit, whatever it is. No, you don't need to understand the technology. You need to plug yourself into this shit and become one with it, and fuck worrying about it. Fuck worrying about how it works. Fuck that. That's for geeks and nerds. Only the cool kids have the brain neural net interface that walk around inside the computer. You don't want to be one of those uncool kids that doesn't have the neural net interface for the new computer World of Warcraft orcs and fuckerheads fucking game system, do you? No, you don't. You want to be cool. So plug into this fucking computer, slave, and shut the fuck up. That's what you're going to do. Here's a Hot Pocket. Love it. Take it. A nurse walks into a hospital room while scanning a clipboard. She greets the patient and washes her hands. She checks her heart, checks her records and his heart rate and blood pressure and adjusts the intravenous drip. And turns him over to look for bed sores, then heads for the door, but does not wash her hands again as the protocol requires. Pardon the interruption, declares a recorded woman's voice with a slight British accent. It's always got a slight British accent. Please wash your hands. So now they have computers that wash your hands. This is a 3-page goddamn article, and I don't even want to continue it.